Hello guys, this video is going to be about the cr10 Smart because some of you guys have been asking me what I have done to my printer to get it to print with the quality that I have right now. As you can see, like this bench came out of this machine, and it's pretty perfect in my opinion. Could be better in some areas, but I'm pretty satisfied with the quality. Like this line is normal, just like where the seam is. But as you can see, like the lines are pretty much perfect. There's some little defects here and there, but overall, I think this is a really good print. And yeah, so the biggest problem with the cr10 Smart for me is, how it comes out of the box, because it's really bad out of the box. There's no way to put it lightly. This machine, as it comes out of the box, has a lot of troubles. You will see from some reviews that this also came from the cr10 Smart. Please focus. Yeah, as you can see, it has pretty good quality. Never mind the seams, please. Yeah, this is a file. It's a little bit glue because I broke it, so I just glued it. It's a Metas Muse, sorry. Maker's Muse. Sorry, my bad. Maker's Muse file. It's a really good stress test for your machine, for your tolerances. You're supposed to be able to rotate this thing and get it to move out of the castle. There's some little hidden things in this puzzle. It's a really good print if you want to test your machine, but let's go back to the cr10 Smart, shall we? Okay, so the biggest problem I have with the cr10 Smart, or I had at the beginning, was getting this thing to print a good first layer. No matter what I did, I messed around with a lot of things. I messed around with the head, I messed around with the bed, I messed around with the Z rails, and I could not get this machine to print well in the first layer. And the first thing I did, of course, was check if my bed was tight, because I was looking online for solutions, and everybody was saying, oh, you need to make sure your bed is leveled, you need to see if your first layer is good, you need to mess around with the nuts, you need to tighten your eccentric nuts. So I was doing all of that. Well, I wasn't messing with the nuts because I didn't have them at the time, because this machine comes without any way to level it. What you get out of the box is, it is what it is. Like you cannot level this machine. The only thing you can change is the height of the nozzle when it prints. And I was doing whatever I could. I was having a really difficult time getting print to not only stick but to print well. So, what was my first discovery? After some time messing around with the machine, I decided to disassemble this rail, or these rails. And what I found out was that these rails were so tight here on these bolts. Here, there's another two at the back. Maybe I can show you. Right there. Whoops, sorry, right there. So 6 bolts in total. They were so tight that the rail was actually getting pinched in the middle. Like the bolts were so tight that the bed in the middle was like doing this, and in the middle there was a lot of movement. So what I did was I untightened these bolts, like these 6 bolts, and I screwed them back with just a little bit of force, not too much, just enough to make sure they were secure. And that changed my bed a whole lot. Like this thing became rock solid. It doesn't go anywhere. After that, I was still having troubles with the bed leveling. So what the hell? Like I just fixed the problem. What could be the next thing? And the next thing I figured out was, oh, maybe I really need to check if my bed is leveled. And when I mean leveled, sorry, if not leveled, sorry, let me go back. I really need to check if my bed was bent. And yes, it is bent a little bit, but not enough where it would, affect the things I was printing the way it was, because I could not get things to stick or, really print well. If I was doing anything bigger than, I don't know, 10 centimeters, it would just not stick. So I went on AliExpress or Amazon. I can't really remember where I got those, and I got some leveling nuts with some rubber spacers. I put those, and with the help of Octoprinter I have right here, I was able to see the mesh of the bed, and yes, in fact, the bed was a little bit bent, but as I said before, it was not enough that it would affect the print as much as it was. So what was the biggest problem I found out with this machine? It was right here. You see this washer here? If you got your machine and disassemble and you get like that cover off, you will see no washer there. And why is that washer right over there? Let me see if I can show you a close-up. This washer right here, believe it or not, it's essential to make sure this machine prints well. Why? Well, because as it comes out of the box, the cr10 Smart has this stupid sensor here that it's actually quite a good idea, but it's really bad executed. Why? Because the way this works is the nozzle goes down, it hits the bed, it exerts a little bit of pressure on the sensor upwards in this direction, and it lets know the machine that the bed is right here. So this is where you should make a point of reference and repeat that 16 times, and you get a bed mesh. And that's usually fine. It works really well, but the problem is not only does it bend upwards, also it bends downwards, especially when it's being when the filament is being pushed through, because the filament pushes on the head and the bed would go down. Maybe I cannot do it because the washer is right there. Exactly. So what does the washer do? It prevents this sensor from bending downward, and it makes sure that no matter how much pressure there is on the nozzle, it never goes down. So you will click here, but it won't affect here. And this took me quite a few times to, not a few times, but it took me some time, sorry, to figure out. I was doing a lot of things. I don't know. I checked a lot of videos, and after I spent some time looking at the machine printing, I found out this thing was bending. It was bending down, and I was like, "Oh, maybe that's the problem. What can I do? What can I do to fix this thing?" Well, this stupid thing is the best thing you can do to your printer. Before you print anything, make sure you put the stupid washer right there, because if you don't, you will get horrible prints. And if you say otherwise, you're lying to yourself. Or maybe you get lucky and you don't get any problems with the first print, but eventually you will get them, trust me. So yeah, make sure you do yourself a favor and put that washer over there. Okay, so after that, yeah, my prints got a lot better, like insanely better, but my extruder was still clicking. I was getting mad because my extruder will not stop click. I checked the steps. It was, correct. I raised the temperature. By the way, the proper temperature for this machine, I discovered it's around 215 degrees. Of course, it depends on the PLA I use, but for most things that I print with, for most PLA types, 215 is good enough. If you're not going with anything special, 215 degrees should be more than enough to print whatever you want. Okay, moving on, moving back to the extruder. So I'm using this extruder right now. This extruder is amazing. It's really good. I have no clicking. It's a really good extruder. If you can get it, do it, because this is also a really good upgrade that you can do the machine. Get that plastic one and throw it on the garbage, because that thing will break. It's just a matter of time. It will break. It's not a good extruder. Just buy one like this one or a metal one. But before you go any faster, let me remind you that I changed the extruder, like the plastic extruder that came with. That was actually one of the first upgrades that I did. As you can see, I have one disassembled right here, and this thing was still clicking. Why? Because that dumb motor over there that pushes the filament through, for me, it did not have enough force to push the filament. So you need some kind of gearing to make sure that the filament is pushed properly through the extruder. This one has reduction gear, which makes it be much stronger. So yeah, you will need that. Don't get one that it's like 1-to-1 like this one. You need something that, multiplies the force applied on the filament. So yeah, my best advice, spend a little bit extra and get the proper one. Don't be a cheap guy like me and buy one that's actually really good, like this one. And yeah, I think those are the things. Oh, last thing. I'm using a Bowden tube, Capricorn tubing. I don't know if it really changes anything on my prints. I haven't noticed anything in particular. I heard that it really makes a difference for a lot of people, but for me, it was one of the first things that I changed. So I really don't know if it changes print quality that much. But I did the upgrade. It was one of the things I changed when I was trying to get prints to stick to this goddamn bed. And yeah, I changed it. Was one of the first things. It did not help me because I got this problem here, which is a much bigger problem. So I don't know. Maybe if you want to upgrade to a Capricorn tube, go ahead. It's really cheap. If not, well, start printing. Do these upgrades first, the ones on the bed with the bolts and the leveling nuts and the washer, and then if you're still having problems with your machine, try this one. Try putting a Capricorn tube on it. Also, I'm using printer's tape because I cannot get anything to stick on this thing, and I clean it regularly. I use alcohol. I've tried a lot of different stuff. The only thing that really got my prints to stuck to the bed was using painter's tape. I go around it with a little bit of sandpaper just to make sure it gets a bit rugged, because the one I use is quite smooth, so helps to have some texture. And yeah, another thing you should check is make sure that your X rail is leveled. And what I mean by level, make sure that the distance between here and here and here and here is the same. Because if they're wonky, you can also have a lot of troubles getting your bed to be level. Because if this thing is not level, this thing won't get level. Because this thing gets leveled by this thing, if you know what I mean. Sorry, by this thing. So yeah, make sure that thing is, properly spaced. It has the same distance from this point to here and from that point to there. And yeah, there's a lot of videos on that. I'm not going to explain how to fix everything because otherwise this will be like a a 2-hour video. But if you want any explanation and if you want me to help you with cr10 Smart, leave a comment and I will check on it and give you advice on it. Yeah, bye bye.